Ever wonder if rich people are just wired differently? Like their brains are on another level? Well, it turns out the science actually says, yeah, they kind of are. And today, we are diving deep into the science behind that wealthy mindset, based on incredible research that scanned thousands of brains to find out what's really going on.
So, let's just cut right to the chase with a huge question. Can your thoughts actually make you rich? I mean, really, is it possible to think your way into a bigger bank account?
You might think the answer is no way, but brain scans are telling us a totally different story. It turns out the brains of wealthy people are, in a very real biological sense, different. But here's the kicker, and this is the most important part. You're not just born with it. These are changes you can actually learn to make yourself.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with what makes a wealthy brain different. Then we'll get into the practical stuff, the power of waiting, how to become an opportunity detective, why you need to learn with a purpose, and finally, what it means to take radical ownership of your life. It's all about rewiring your brain for success.
All right, first up, a different kind of brain. Let's get the science straight. We're talking about multiple studies that all point to the same thing. Wealth isn't just luck, it's tied to real, measurable activity happening inside your head.
So what does that mean, neurological difference? It's not just some motivational poster idea, it's biology. The scans show that people who think like the wealthy literally have different brain structures. We're talking physical changes that directly impact things like self-control, spotting opportunities, and solving problems. It's a real, tangible edge.
Okay, so if you can physically change your brain, how do you actually do it? Well, that brings us to our first big secret, mastering the power of waiting, or what scientists call delayed gratification. And the best way to understand this is through a famous experiment from back in 1972 at Stanford.
So picture this. Psychologist Walter Mischel puts a bunch of 4-year-olds one by one in a room. In front of them, a single marshmallow. And he tells them, look, you can eat this marshmallow now, or if you can wait 15 minutes without eating it, you'll get a second one. Then he leaves the room, with hidden cameras rolling, of course. And the results? Well, they were pretty dramatic. A whopping 70% of the kids just couldn't wait. They gobbled up that marshmallow right away. Only a small group, about 30%, managed to hold out for the full 15 minutes to get that bigger reward.
Now, this is where the story gets really mind-blowing. The researchers didn't just stop there. They tracked these same kids for the next 40 years, and the difference was staggering. The group that waited, they had higher incomes, better jobs, even lower divorce rates. And decades later, brain scans finally showed us why. Their prefrontal cortex, that's the part of your brain that's like the CEO, in charge of self-control and smart decisions. It was physically stronger, more developed, just from waiting for a marshmallow.
So listen, the big takeaway here isn't just about having willpower. It's about building your brain. Every single time you choose the long-term gain, like, say, learning a new skill instead of taking out a loan for a new gadget, you are physically strengthening that part of your brain. You are literally rewiring yourself for success.
All right, secret number 2 is all about becoming an opportunity detective. This comes from a really cool experiment at Harvard Business School just a few years ago that looked at why some people see possibilities that everyone else just walks right past.
So check this out. They put 2 groups of people, one wealthy, one struggling financially, into a room just filled with hidden ways to make money. The results were just, wow. 70% of the wealthy individuals spotted at least 2 of these opportunities, but only 18% of the struggling group found even one. And the brain scans told the story. In the wealthy group, the parts of the brain for spotting patterns and creative thinking were lit up like a Christmas tree. In the other group, they were basically dormant.
Think about someone like Jeff Bezos with Amazon. This is the opportunity detective method in action. He didn't start by trying to sell everything to everyone. No, he started with one thing: books. He mastered it, made it a predictable, stable income stream. Then, and only then, did he start hunting for the next opportunity. That's when he expanded to music, then electronics, and eventually, he hit the jackpot with Amazon Web Services, which is now the company's biggest moneymaker.
Okay, moving on to secret number 3, learning with a purpose. This one comes from a guy named Thomas Corley, a financial planner who did something amazing. He spent 5 years just tracking the tiny, daily habits of 233 millionaires and compared them to people who were struggling.
And what he found was a huge difference between the 2 groups. But it wasn't about how hard they worked at their jobs. It was about what they did with their free time. Get this, Almost 90% of the millionaires spent at least 30 minutes every single day learning something new. Meanwhile, 95% of the struggling group spent that time on entertainment. TV, movies, just passively consuming stuff.
And this little story from his research really drives the point home. You have two guys, Rahul and Ankur. Both lose their jobs during the lockdown. Same tough situation. What do? Rahul binge watches Netflix to pass the time. Ankur, though, decides to use that same time to learn a specific high-demand skill, video editing. Fast forward 9 months, Rahul is still looking for a job, but Ankur, he's pulling in 1.5 lakh a month. Same starting point, totally different choices, and a world of difference in the outcome.
All right, our final secret, and honestly, this one might be the biggest game changer of them all. It's about taking radical ownership, and it comes from a huge study out of the London School of Economics that looked at 10,000 people across 5 different countries.
The researchers asked a very simple question. Why are you in your current financial situation? And the answers fell into 2 completely different camps. The struggling group? They blamed everything and everyone else. The economy is bad. My family held me back. The government is useless. But the wealthy group? They took ownership. I made the right decisions. I was persistent. I took responsibility. And again, brain scans show us why this matters so much. When you blame others, you light up your amygdala, the fear and panic center of your brain. It basically shuts you down. But when you take ownership, you activate that prefrontal cortex again, the CEO of your brain, the part that actually solves problems.
So how do you flip that switch? Here's a super practical exercise you can do. First, write down your biggest financial excuse. Something like, I have no money to start a business. Then, reframe that statement as a question of action. How can I start a business with 0 investment? See the difference? You're forcing your brain to stop making excuses and start looking for solutions. Do this every day for 30 days, and you can literally retrain your brain's default response.
Okay, let's wrap all this up. We've gone through a lot of science, so let's distill it down into your action plan for rewiring your brain for wealth.
So here they are, the 4 keys to unlocking a wealthy brain. And you know what? They all work together. First, you have to think long-term. That's your foundation, choosing the bigger prize later over the small treat now. Once you're focused on the long game, you can become an opportunity detective, mastering one thing and then finding the next. To do that, you have to learn with purpose, constantly adding real, valuable skills to your toolkit. And tying it all together, you have to take radical ownership. You're the one in charge, no excuses. It's a powerful cycle that puts you in complete control of your financial life.
Look, the science is crystal clear on this. Your brain is not fixed. It's changeable. You can literally build a wealthier brain. So really, the only question left for you is this. Which of these 4 changes are you going to make first? Where are you going to start?